Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. So, today we're going to be speaking to you about realizing the soul's potential, as the soul is kind of one of the areas that is the most overlooked when it comes to your health and wellness, isn't it?
It absolutely is, right? And we've learned that
Mm.
firsthand, and that's kind of what we're going to share with you today is our experiences. We are obviously qualified to teach techniques and tools that help us to evolve the soul and our spirit, but that's not what we're doing here today. And we're not spiritual gurus. We do
No,
not claim to be any more than you do. So we're going to just tap into this a little bit deeper today for you.
definitely, guys. So, the question I'll ask yourself is: are you doing everything right? So, is business going well for you? Is your personal life going well? Your social life booming? You have that picture perfect life, or are on your way there, but you still feel that there's something missing. Again, this is where the soul comes in. So, what we're going to cover now is what the soul actually is, or what it is in terms of what we think it is.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not necessarily if you have all those things
Mm,
and something's missing, right? It could be that
yeah,
you can't achieve those things because you feel
yeah,
like there is something missing as well. That's also a reflection of the soul. So when we're talking about the soul, and obviously there's many different connotations and definitions
mm,
you can attach to this. So we're going to obviously share with you ours. So essentially, we believe is our consciousness behind our
mm,
consciousness, right? It's the energy behind the things that we can't always explain. For example, have you ever said something like, "Oh, everything happens for a reason," or that you don't believe in coincidences and things like that? Because essentially, when we say those things, everything happens for a reason, and we put a full stop at the end. We are actually then just kind of leaving it to chance or to fate or whatever you want to call that. But that is the kind of soul energy that we're kind of referring to here. Is that thing that's a bit bigger than us, but we can't always put our finger on what it is.
definitely, guys. And we realized through our journey, basically, that life exists through the underlying life force energy that connects us all to everything.
Mm.
And the more we learn about ourselves on a personal and macro level, meaning kind of like a universal level, and kind of how we fit into everything, how we fit into it all. For example, have you ever said this saying? I know I have before in the past, and haven't even realized it. Is you're stuck indoors and you can, oh, I just want to get out into nature. I want to go outside. I want to get out into nature. I want to connect with nature. And by saying that, you're creating kind of like a disconnect between you and, well, what we're all connected to, because we are nature. Everything is nature. Okay, by saying that, oh, I want to go out to nature, you're saying that you are disconnected from,
Separate, that
yeah,
sense of
you're separate. Yeah,
separation.
yeah, exactly. You're separate from the universe, from the world, from nature, from this energy we're talking about. But we're not. We're all connected. We are nature, and we just need to kind of remember that and understand that and reconnect with that.
Definitely, because and that comes from just zooming out, guys.
Mm,
Because if we feel like we're separate from something else, it's because we're too close. We're in it.
mm,
We're inside the picture frame in the picture. You need to step out of that picture frame and look at it from a big picture perspective, so you can start to understand and see it for what it really
mm.
is. And that's where you get that kind of soul or spiritual perspective on this crazy world that we actually live in, right? So we believe that obviously energy connects us all, right? And we see this all the time. This is why we become like the people we surround ourselves with, right? You've heard that before. It's also the reason why people's emotions, you think that they rub off on you, right? If you're hanging out with somebody that's not feeling great, strong chances is you're gonna be in that energy and you're gonna feel it and you're gonna recognize it in its own way. That's also because you're sensing that energy. And we see it in on a big picture scale as well. I mean, look at COVID-19. The kind of feeling of the world just kind of dropped a little bit for a while. 9/11, when these big tragedies happen, right, the whole frequency of the world literally just decompresses and it goes down. So we really have this collective energy that's going on as well. And when we become conscious of this energy and we can unite, we can really make a difference. There was an experiment done a while back with these meditators, really experienced meditators. They were basically dropped into these troublesome cities around the world, and they basically just went and did their thing. They just went and they meditated with the intention of just raising that vibration of that place. right? Like the energy, vibration, the frequency. And actually what they found is that the crime rates dropped in those areas. So when I say troublesome city, it was places where there was high crime. So when these people went and meditated for a period of time, the crime rates actually dropped. And this was done over a long period as well. So that's just one person. They didn't go out literally fighting crime. They didn't go out there, arresting people or reforming people. No, all they did was they provided this different layer of energy which had an influence, around the area that they were. And the amazing thing about that is that you can do that too, and you don't have to be an experienced meditator and with the intention to fight crime around the world or anything like that. But it's essential to start understanding what is this power that we have, because only then can we get that step closer to elevating that consciousness collectively as well.
Definitely, guys. And kind of take that same kind of concept into an individual basis. So you might know someone like this, okay, where someone that someone you met before, it might be a friend currently, it might be even you. And the question I want you to kind of think about is, why are some people infectious to be around? So why I also want to be around this person. Everything they touch turns to gold. You might know someone like, I know a few people like this. Like whatever they do, whatever project they start, whatever direction, it seems like it's like, oh my God, this person is so lucky. But it's not. It's like what they're doing, they're just doing something different compared to the rest of the majority. They are nurturing their outlook to life, and they're nurturing their energy, whether they know it or not. It could be on a conscious or unconscious level, but they are nurturing that energy. Like Charlotte said, they're raising those vibrations, raising that energy, whether they know it or not. And everything around them just, as we say, turns to gold. it just improves massively.
And it has that knock-on effect as well, right? Hence why it becomes infectious, as it were. So the more we connect to this soul energy, the more we can connect and reap the benefits of it too, right? And a good example that you can kind of just reflect on for yourself is, and we've got a couple of tasks for you later, but really it's about understanding, okay, what is it that helps your soul feel alive? A really good example of this is if you can go to work every day and you don't feel tired, right? But you just feel passion and you could just do it all day and you're just overflowing and you just constantly contributing to everybody around you in that workplace or in that setting. That's coming basically from that soul energy, because it's something that makes you feel alive. It's something that energizes you. But for the soul to express itself, we need to get out of our own way, don't we? We need to get out of our own way and stop putting up these roadblocks to this expression, because we are very quick to make excuses. We're very quick to, think of all the reasons why something can't happen rather than can happen. And the easiest way to kind of get out of our own way is by being present. And that's a lot easier said than done. It's about, not trying to live from our memories or in the expectations of our future. It's about really being with where you are and being free from any meaning that you're kind of attaching to it. And I want to tell you about when I did this. It's called Vipassana experience, and it's a form of meditation rather than an experience as such, but it's definitely a very experiential pivotal part in my own journey. And it's basically a 10-day silent meditation. This is what I did in the very first time, is where you switch off from everything around you and you basically meditate for around 14 hours a day for 10 days. You don't speak to anybody, you can't read a book, you can't write anything down. You literally just sleep, eat limited, and you go into the meditation hall, and that's pretty much it. And after the first few days, I was really feeling this kind of conflict inside, because I was doing the practice like we were being taught, and it was very interesting to me, because on day 3 I had this realization that I hadn't fully surrendered. I hadn't fully let go into it. I was getting in my own way, essentially. I was feeling physically I'd put myself there, right? I'd switched off from the real world. I'd driven to the place, right? Physically, I'd put my human self in that situation. So physically, I thought, done, tick that box. Mentally, I was like, well, no, I've set up the commitment to myself that I'm going to do this. I'm going to stay till the end. So mentally, I thought, no, I'm in. Emotionally, the same. spiritually also the same. But I've got to say, I wasn't that deeply connected with my soul energy at that point. But what I did realize is that just because I was there and I was in the room didn't mean I was connected in any way, shape, or form. I needed to give myself permission to just be in that moment and flow with anything that actually showed up. And that's when I actually literally then felt the life force energy for the very first time, that I was aware of, that I was conscious of. And I literally felt it flowing through my system. And when you can get that real deep connection, you then get to start to feel whether things are flowing or whether there are any little blockages that show up as well. And you can feel if you've got some sticking points that you need to work on, or you can feel that there's maybe this mental construct or story that you're attaching to something about what you're experiencing. And it's only then you can start to push past that and to start to see things for what it really is.
Definitely, guys. And it just shows the incredible power that comes from this place that we call the soul. And the Japanese have something similar they call ikigai. Okay, and it's kind of like their purpose, it's their reason for being. And a majority of people kind of attach and align that reason for being with their career or their profession. They're so like focused and head into work. And when they end up retiring or can't work anymore, they lose that purpose, they lose that sense of being, and they just don't know what to do. They feel lost. And it's kind of well documented as well, and you can see it a lot when people lose that purpose. They end up dying quite early on and after retirement. They don't live as long. The stats show that massively. Basically, as soon as you lose your purpose, your life expectancy drops dramatically. And on another level, if you take an old couple in love, for example, I'm sure you've seen all these movies, people walking around the street, stuff like that. Old couple in love, they've been together 30, 40, 50 years. And if one of them passes away, like they could have been together for so long, they've got such deep connection. They lose that purpose, they lose that reason for being. And then when that happens, the same thing is not very long after that person also passes away. Because the same thing is the same as that they lost their purpose and they just don't know what to do. That heartache,
yeah. And that heartache coming from that deep place in your soul.
Exactly. Yeah. It's that place there, that something missing. And when that happens, it's like, it's like that reason for being goes, and you think, why bother? And that's, okay, well, let's just take the kind of death away from it. But on a positive note, if you look at people who have these diseases and ailments, even up to the point like fatal conditions, and they've managed to heal themselves from, which modern science or modern medical science can't really explain why. It's like those miracle healings, and it's not a miracle at all. It's just, again, people find their sense of purpose. They find their reason for being.
They understand
that they are the miracle. Yeah, exactly. They are the miracle. There is no miracle externally. They are the miracle deep within inside. And that's why you hear all these amazing stories of people who've managed to overcome all these really serious ailments and diseases without the aid of medication. And
I think it's essential to understand that miracle is coming from that capacity to do the things that we really are capable of doing. And the deeper we connect with that and that energy, it really does start to like unlock these superpowers, right? And I'm not talking woo-woo stuff here. I'm talking about things like our intuition, right? Have you ever done this thing where you pick up the phone and you're thinking you're going to call somebody or send them a message, and all of a sudden they message you first or they call you first? That's intuition at play. That's an energy exchange that's going on there, that you've both got this thing in mind. And it's so powerful, because when we start to tap into that intuition, we become more informed, and we're becoming more informed by being more aligned. And when we are more informed and we're using our intuition, we then have more confidence in our decision making. Most people don't get from where they are to where they want to be because of either poor decision making or lack of decision making, right? All of the top performers in the world will tell you this, and all of the best studies that have been done around high performance and success. And it's essential that we can make good decisions. One of the other things that's really good from an intuition perspective, when you're playing from a place of intuition, you then get to know, you get to have this deep sense of knowing that what you're doing is right or not. And that could be for your body, for example, your health. right? You start to understand, okay, well, having this food or that food isn't going to sit well with me, so I don't have it, right? It's not even conscious, it's your intuition making a different choice. That's when things become a lot easier and a lot more effortless.
Definitely, guys, without a doubt. And the question is here, you're probably thinking to yourself, how does this tie into wellness? How does it relate to wellness? Well, by kind of unlocking the potential of your soul and focusing on that potential, it helps to create flow and not blockages within your system, within your internal, external, your whole world, basically. And when this happens, you start to utilize your energy in a much more effective and efficient way. And this becomes very liberating, and you start to balance your energy out. And when, again, this happens, your body starts to move better, your mind thinks better, your heart feels better. So overall, you become connected as one. Everything works in unison and is integrated as a one whole. So think about it as a car engine. Everyone can relate to a car engine. The majority of people drive these days, or at least know what a car engine is. There's hundreds and thousands of little parts of that engine that all are, every single one has their own role that is important for the whole function of that engine. If one part of that engine breaks down or stops working, it has a knock-on effect on everything else to the point where the engine just stops working. Our whole being is exactly the same. So if we're not realizing the potential of our soul, that does affect our heart, our mind, and our body, and kind of destroys that connection, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does. And that's where that big picture perspective about stepping outside the frame and seeing how we fit into this huge idea of the world and the universe and all of those things just really highlights what a gift we are. And when we start to treat ourselves as that gift, we show up very, very differently in the world. We then nourish ourselves, we care for ourselves and for others on a much, much deeper level. And that might sound really kind of arrogant to think, yeah, we're all these gifts walking around, right? But what's the alternative, right? What's the alternative other than being full of illness or dis-ease or discomfort, you know, full of self-doubt or imprisoned in this world where you're acting half-assed and lazy to fulfilling your full potential? Because essentially that's no fun, is it? We want to show up in the best way we can so we can live to the fullest. We say it all the time. What was the hashtag that was around a while ago? Like YOLO, you only live once, and all of those different things. Like, we say that we want all of these things, but we don't always show up to the plate and knock it out of the park, do we?
Definitely, guys. And most people usually wait until they hit rock bottom. They wait till the pain they're feeling is so intense, whether that pain is physical or mental, before they start connecting with their soul. Isn't that right?
Yeah, definitely. And that's pretty much what my experience was like, right? I got to the point where I just felt awful. I just was not in the right place. I was obviously, I was training, I was exercising, but I didn't have kind of my mind and emotions in the right place. And I was very disconnected, not only from my physical body, really, even though I was exercising, but also from the thoughts that I was thinking, and then how that was having a ripple effect on the world. I was totally unaware. And it got me to the point where I just felt so bad that I didn't want to be part of it anymore. And that's not a nice place to be. And I'm sure some of you can relate to that on some extent. And that's where, you know, like John said, we want to make sure that we are not waiting to get to that point of rock bottom before we kind of had this wake up call to our capacity and our potential, not only to change, but to live fully.
Definitely, guys. And you've got to think about the opposite end of the scale. So you've got people who are living their picture perfect life. They've got everything they think they want. But again, they still question when they get there, is this it? Is this all there is? And in extreme cases, you have people who kind of who experience those near-death experiences. And when they come out of the other end, and they kind of, it's like a wake-up call, it's a call to action, and then they start thinking, okay, I need to do something with my life. Why am I waiting for something when I can make the choice right now?
Yeah, I had a client come to me after a moment like this. Basically, he was 21 years old. He'd been in a car accident in the US. And it was like a really severe car accident. It was like going around this kind of bend on this like mountain thing, like crazy fast, and flipped his car. And basically he had this experience where he just felt like that there was something more, right? And he's obviously got his own descriptions of all of that, and I'm not going to necessarily share all of his personal stuff with you, of course. But essentially he saw that there was a lot more to this life than maybe what we were seeing before. And he was somebody that, 21-year-old lad, he was going out, he was drinking, he was partying and all these different things, and he was actually very disconnected from who he was and how he wanted to be in this world. And that was his wake-up call, was like, no shit, now I need to do something. and he had to have that kind of near-death experience to have that wake-up call at that moment in his life, for then to go on and do the incredible things he's gone to do now.
Definitely. And when you kind of start to live in that kind of state, in that life just becomes effortless at that point. You start living in those best case scenario type of environments, and the best case scenario worlds. Like we said earlier, you become that infectious person that just everything you touch turns to gold type of thing, because you're focusing on your energy and your outlook, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, we want to share with you a couple of kind of tasks that will really help you get started in realizing your soul's potential. And they may have been things you've heard before, but they really are the best place to start. They are the foundation and fundamental. If you try and do anything before doing these two, it's not necessarily going to work. We said this before, if you try and layer things on top of disconnection, it's just not sustainable. So we've got to get that connection going. So the first task here is literally just to be quiet and listen, and then to act on what it is you hear or think or feel, as in terms of what comes up for you. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier about treating ourselves as a gift. Meditation is for sure like the quickest way in here, in terms of giving yourself that space and holding that space for you to listen to yourself and what's going on. And with that, most people that meditate, especially in the beginning, they kind of put it on their to-do list as a part of their routine, and it becomes a bit of a chore, and we stop going into that meditation and really taking something from it. Like John knows me very well. Like if we are struggling with something, or if I feel like there's something not quite feeling right within, I'll go off and I'll meditate, and then I'll come back, and then I'll be like, okay, this is what I've got, here's the course of action, let's go. But in the beginning, I didn't necessarily connect the action with that too. I would kind of just meditate, let it do its thing. And there's obviously different intentions towards meditation.
Yeah.
But the key is just being quiet and listening, and then acting on what shows up, because that puts you on the first step. That puts you on the path that is going to take you even deeper into your soul's connection.
Definitely, guys. And in task 2, the second task to kind of do here is to reflect on what's good for your soul. So while reflecting, ask yourself, what makes you feel alive and has a positive impact on the world? So like dig deep into this. You can again sit still, reflect on it, think about it, and just ask yourself that. What makes you feel alive? Okay, what has that positive impact in the world for you?
It's that soul energy, right?
Soul
the stuff
energy.
that makes you feel like you just want to go rah, and
Exactly.
like go out into the world and scream it from the rooftops, right? It's those kind of things that is your soul allowing you to thrive, and it's your job to listen to it. So guys, that's the first layer, okay, of realizing your soul's potential and the power of connecting to that higher self and that higher part of you and that higher perspective. And we're definitely going to go way deeper into this, but we want to really just give you this starting point, because like we said, you've got to do this stuff first before we start getting into that bigger picture. And we'd love to hear from you and your perspectives on this as well, because it's so open. So we'd love to hear.
Yeah, definitely, guys. So that's it from us today. If you haven't already, jump onto our website, thewellnesstheory.com, and we have that free quiz, a wellness quiz for you to do, so you can see where kind of if you're in balance or not within the heart, mind, body, soul areas, and where any improvements can be made to create that balance we've been talking about. So jump on there, try it out. And if you have any questions, again, let us know. We'd be more than happy to reach out and answer anything and help you as we can. So until next time, we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.